Loading page with 3 rotating wavy rings around it that shine on hover. This is what we will build in this video. Let's take a look at the different components that make up our login page. 3 wavy rings, 2 inputs for username and password, sign-in button, and the texts. Okay, now, what HTML text should we use for these elements? For the rings, we can actually use many tags, but we stay on I tag. H1 for the login text, we choose corresponding tags for the inputs and button, and P tag goes well with these small texts. One more thing, for the future manipulations and alignments in CSS file, like aligning these elements as we want, we have to wrap or give different blocks of elements, parent tags. Starting from the smallest block, which includes these 2 paragraphs, we cover them in a div tag. We also wrap all of these elements in their own div tag. And finally, we cover all the elements in the form tag. We give types and placeholders to our inputs and classes to these elements to manipulate them separately. And as the result, this is all we need for our HTML. And here is its result. Now, let's write some CSS codes to convert this to this. First of all, let's save these colors to CSS variables. It helps us to use them repeatedly. We set some general properties to all tags. Thus we remove those default margins and paddings around each element. And we also set a general font quicksand that we import above from Google Fonts, which you can easily find in Google Fonts and import. Now, giving some codes to the body tag, we make it the full width and height of the viewport. Move all the elements to the center and change the background color. Form tag, since it's the topmost parent tag, we make a square of 500 pixels, centralize everything on its center, and give it a relative position to design those wavy rings soon. Next, with the help of this parent div that includes these elements, we centralize the elements and give some space between them. We also set the Z index to 1 on this parent tag to move it above the rotating rings. Otherwise the rings are above, that blocks the button from clicking and the inputs from typing. Then we write a few codes for login text to make it look better. Input, we give it full width, some padding, transparent background, and stylize its border and typing. We also give its placeholder a lighter color. We got to the button. We also give these ones some typical custom attributes and a transition to make the hovering effect smoother. And the background, that's gonna be a linear gradient under 45 degrees, ranging from purple to yellow colors. When hovered, we are gonna drop some shadow using the drop shadow filter function. For those who may not know, the difference between box shadow and drop shadow filter function is that the box shadow casts shadows behind an element's entire box, while drop shadow creates a shadow around an element's alpha mask, meaning around visible parts and excluding transparent parts. In this example of a complete opaque image, they act the same, but if we remove the background, we see the difference. By making the image fully transparent, we reduce the alpha channel down to 0, causing the drop shadow not to work. As for the box shadow, we see that it doesn't care about alpha channel or transparency. Back to our login page, we have the links. With the help of their parent tag, we align them horizontally and give some paddings. As for themselves, we give them a custom color that changes on hover as well. Finally, it's time to create those cool, impressive, wavy rotating rings. And you won't believe how easy it is to do that. If you remember, we used HTML I tag for them. Since the tags are inside the parent form tag and we want them to be on top of all other elements, we give them absolute positioning. And remember, we gave form tag relative positioning before, so that the rings do not come out of it. Then, by giving borders to the I text, we create the rings. Next, we give the inset set to 0 to be the full width and height of its parent tag. By the way, inset equals to 4 corners. We could also use 100% of width and height instead of inset, but we stay on inset since it's less code and more appropriate to absolute positioning. Finally, we give 5 seconds of transition for smooth hovering effect. Till now, we have 3 square borders on top of each other. Let's turn them into unique wavy shapes. We do that by targeting each I tag on its own class name and give it a distinct border radius. If you didn't understand this approach, let me explain. Giving one value to border radius, obviously it's applied on 4 corners. 2 values are applied diagonally. Starting point is the top left corner and direction is clockwise. 3 values, 4 values. But if you use the slash sign, then the value before the slash is horizontal and the other one is vertical, meaning we can customize one corner's 2 sides individually. As you guessed, we can give completely different values for each side of every corner. As for using percentage values, we use them for responsive and dynamic scaling of the corners relative to the size of the element. After making borders unique and wavy, let's animate them. We're gonna rotate 2 of them clockwise and the third counterclockwise. We give them different timing, linear timing function, and infinite iteration count, so that it rotates forever. Okay, we're almost done. Let's give it a hovering effect. The thing is that we want the rings to shine when the entire login page is hovered. So when the form tag is hovered, we increase the border size for each eye tag and give them different colors, and also drop some shadows of the same color. And we are done coding. And this is what we got. Talk to you in the next videos.